to the American reaction. Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry tells us how President Obama is handling or not handling the latest Pandora's box of problems.
Aides to President Obama were pressed today on whether he looks weak, from Egypt, where the military has ignored U.S. calls to end the violence, to Syria, where reports that the red line on chemical weapons has been crossed yet again sparked an all-too-familiar refrain.
Totally deplorable and completely unacceptable.
The problem is the tough talk on Syria began 1 year ago yesterday.
We have communicated in no uncertain terms with every player in the region that that's a red line for us, and that there would be enormous consequences if we start seeing movement on the chemical weapons front or the use of chemical weapons.
Asked where those enormous consequences are, White House spokesman Josh Earnest groped for answers.
So you're saying they'll be held accountable? It's been a year.
Well, it has been. And we are in a circumstance where the Assad regime is still in power, but you have a large segment of the international community aligned against them.
Back in June, the White House said it believed Assad's forces had already used chemical weapons several times. And today's revelations put the president's team back on defense.
The president made clear the line was crossed. We expanded the scale and scope of our aid. That's ongoing. We continue to consider all options. All options remain on the table.
Republican John McCain complained about there being no stick behind the rhetoric, tweeting, "No consequence for Assad using chemical weapons and crossing red line. We shouldn't be surprised he's using them again." Asked for the president's red line on Egypt, Earnest ducked by saying he did not bring a red pen to today's briefing. Though going back to the start of the crisis in Egypt, key players like Secretary of State John Kerry have struggled to get a handle on it. On August 1st, after the Egyptian military had already started killing Islamist protesters, Kerry told Geo News in Pakistan the Egyptian military was restoring democracy.
The military did not take over, to the best of our judgment so far, to run the country. There's a civilian government. In effect, they were restoring democracy.
Now, on Syria, the UN Security Council was in an emergency meeting for several hours today, but basically came up with no action. They agreed on the need for clarity about this alleged chemical weapons attack, but in the end did not agree on a specific UN probe to get to the bottom of it. Brett?
Ed Henry live on the North Lawn. Ed, thank you.